Hello and welcome. What can we learn from unicorn companies like Google? Build an audience, solve a global problem, and do it with intellectual property. Say what? I promise that there is something in this for every business owner. Let me challenge your thinking while we explore how to package your expertise and knowledge up into resources that will scale your business and help you solve problems for your market. You've tuned into the Better in Business podcast, and I'm your host, Jeannie Savage. I'm a multi-award winning business veteran and head of the Strategic Bookkeeper Network. My network of strategic bookkeepers is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs do better in business. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way? Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules and play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar number one for success is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, which is the only way you can see how your business is performing in terms of profit and cash. If your books aren't right up to date, visit mavenzeal.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper. Bookkeeping is a cost, whereas strategic bookkeeping is an investment that averages a 10x return on the fees. Today I welcome Matthew Mason onto the show. Matthew is a certified online learning facilitator. His zone of genius is helping entrepreneurs just like you to unpack and then package up their expertise in a way that means they can have a greater impact on those they serve, scale up their businesses, and ultimately live that life they went into business for in the first place. Matthew has been in the training space in some way, shape or form all his working life. And so, as a veteran in this space, I am very excited to welcome him to share his knowledge and expertise with us. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you, Jeannie. It's great to be here. And when I saw the post about it, I thought, I want to be on this. I think it's going to provide a huge amount of value.
Thank you. Thank you. And I was very excited to have you on because you're talking about something that I want to talk about. It's around leveraging your expertise, how to scale up, create impact, and live the lifestyle you desire. Specifically, though, doing that through leveraging your expertise, which I think is the way of the future. I think it's well and truly here, and the pandemic has really helped with that. So I would love for you to first just tell us a little about yourself in this space.
Yeah, okay. Well, I suppose for me, this is a space, the learning and development space is a space I've been working in now for, always a bit scared when I say this, a bit over 24 years now. And predominantly I started off in working for training organisations and then moved into working with large corporates. Got a bit jaded with that and moved out on my own and started my own agency and was working with large corporates there. But then over the last year or two, basically done a bit of a shift and I call it my hard work to heart work shift and working more with the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, because some of the people that we're working with now to really help them to leverage their expertise, to get their knowledge out there to other people, there's so much great stuff that they're delivering. There's so much impactful things that they're doing to share with other people that, it makes us feel good about it. So very much our heart work. But it's a space that I'm, very passionate about. Well, I've been working in it for over 2 decades now. So you've got to be fairly passionate about where I'm working. So,
Yeah, that's a while. As you know, I'm a trainer and assessor myself. I think I qualified in that space about 15 years ago. It was game changing. And I know that you have a lot of feathers in your cap in terms of your acumen around actually your ability to train, to transfer knowledge to human brains, which is no small feat that you and I had a chat about earlier. The next thing I would love for you to talk to us about and to explain to our audience, it's around leveraging your expertise. So there's something I love to say, and that is, what can we learn from unicorn companies like Google? We can learn, build an audience, go global, not local, or I would say solve a global problem, Sell intellectual property, not time. And I would just love for you to explain, because I actually think that every business owner can do this. So whether you are a plumber or you are anything, right? You can leverage your expertise, and I'm doing it right now in this way. And I think, again, it's a way of the future. So can you just tell us, what is this leverage your expertise, and a little bit around, the what?
Yeah, I mean, leveraging expertise is really just taking all of that valuable knowledge that people have got. Generally, it's either locked in their head or it's locked in a filing cabinet because they've written down heaps of stuff and they've got paper everywhere. And it's really about taking that and turning that into these digital, what I call assets. So it could be a video, it could be a podcast, it could be an ebook, it could be an online course, it could be a coaching program. But turning it into these digital programs that allow people to access it basically anytime, anywhere. You mentioned that anyone can be doing this. I had a conversation with a physiotherapist a number of years ago, and his basically story was, I spend so much of my time repeating myself. I'm constantly telling my clients the same thing over and over. And he needed to leverage his expertise. And if you think about a coach, for example, is probably spending 80% of their time telling stuff to their clients, and 20% of their time where they're able to actually really delve into the big problems and provide that transformation. But if we take that information that you're constantly giving, turning that into digital artifacts that people can consume, then it frees up your time. And so therefore, if you've got more time, then you've got more time to work with the clients on the big problems that they have, not the things that, you can tell them stuff, but they're going to go away and do it. And then it's not going to work and they want to come back and they want to ask questions. So you can really spend your time doing that, or you can spend your time doing other things, working for a charity, spending more time with your family, working less. So there's a whole range of things, but it's really about just putting that into these other assets that allow you to be operating in a digital way.
Yeah. And I'd love to make a few comments and do a bit of a dissection here, because again, we talked a bit earlier about the big ideology shift that is required here. So if you are someone anywhere close to my age bracket, or you've been used to a traditional business all your life, the idea of building assets and selling intellectual property can be a bit like, what the ideology shift is massive. So first off, because I would love at the end of this podcast for the listeners to take away the idea that this is possible. I would love to get a toe in the water and that this is possible. So I was listening to someone recently, and she's in the equine, like the horse industry, and she was told she was mad to think that you could take this, for example, horse riding, this kind of thing online as courses and resources. Her first launch for one of her clients was $300,000 launch for her industry. But that's number one. So I would say it's something that everyone can do. And as you heard Matt say, when he talks about assets, there's big and small. I mean, there's the idea you can have whole courses, but this podcast is a digital asset that, keeps on giving. I've just written a book. I wrote a really great little ebook, which is like a blog repurposed, right? There's lots of ways that you can create intellectual property to benefit you and your clients. So when you hear words like this, assets and intellectual property and digital assets, don't worry too much if it's not making total sense to you, but I would just love for you to begin the ideology shift. So I think the question here from the listeners would be, why? What's the benefit? You just touched on benefits to the client. Can we talk about what the benefit to the business? Like if I'm in the service-based business, whether I'm in trade, why would I look at leveraging my expertise into some assets? Like how is it actually going to help me make more profit, make more cash, and pull lifestyle and purpose and prosperity out?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. One of those, I suppose, is that you can avoid that key man risk. If you think about most businesses will have started off at some point with an individual, and they would have been the key man, and they've managed to grow, or it's a coaching organization and maybe they're still the key man and they're starting to grow and they're getting a team on board. But then the challenge is, well, how do I get my team to do what I'm doing? How do I get them to do things in my way? And by leveraging expertise, by creating those programs, allows you to put your content out there and people can access it. And then you can have your team members also understanding that. So avoids that key man risk. It also allows you to streamline what you're doing. We work with our clients to help them create some visual models and have some defined processes as part of that intellectual property. And that allows them to streamline. And that ability to streamline and effectively moving to a point where you could almost become redundant in your own business. Not that you would want to, but the ability to say that you can. So often we talk to clients and they're time poor. They don't have the time to spend with their family. I know when I was growing my business, so often I'd be working until stupid o'clock at night because I was that key man risk. And by being able to take that content out of your head, putting it into those assets that people can use, people can share, then you avoid that. And that then frees up so much time for you as well, and time for you to do the other things that you want to do, not necessarily working in the business, working on the business, providing that wonderful impact for your clients. So there's a couple of big things, but I think that key man risk is a huge, huge challenge to overcome.
Yeah, and I think this is back to scale, and scale is not growing the revenue, can be a part of it, but scale is about growing net and gross profit. And I know I scaled myself out into a lifestyle business 5 years into my journey, and so I can really relate to that. Can you share any client stories, a client that you've worked with that's done this and what they did and the impact of it?
Yeah. Look, there's a number of different client stories we've got. We've got one client we worked with a number of years ago, and she had written a book, and we've got a number of clients that we're helping them turn their books into online programs and other things. She had written a book around healthy eating for children, and we worked with her to then take that into an online program, and that online program she was then selling into daycare centres. Aside from the book, she'd also had a menu planner created. So then there's this whole other suite of products that she was then selling into the daycare centre. But so she went from someone who was a nutritionist that had a series of clients that was working with to really scaling up her business and providing that expertise that she had around healthy eating across into daycare centres. And then the next iteration that she was planning with that was to then go, okay, well, how do I then take this and create this healthy meal planner for parents, and especially, busy parents that might come home and go, okay, well, what do I need to do? How do I prepare? And what do I need to plan? And that was a real game changer for her by creating that online program to taking that knowledge from her book.
Yeah. Were you able to see her financial results? Like, is that something that you're privy to?
In that case, I wasn't, unfortunately, but I do know that we had the discussions around what she was going to charge, and we did have conversations later on, and she'd managed to get a number of daycare centres on board, and based on the figures that she was talking, yes, that was providing a significant financial impact, which was actually probably equivalent to what she would have been earning in a sort of one-to-one consultancy. And so she was able to almost replicate her income, but without a huge amount of time that she put in.
Yes, because what we are talking about here, I think, is getting off the time for money train.
It is. It's a vehicle that you really don't want to be on, because you're generally trading time for money. And then you end up competing with those other people that are also trading time for money. And their strategy for competition is to lower their price. And effectively, we end up in this race to the bottom with, who can provide the cheapest price. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone.
Yeah, it is. Again, I'm big on dissecting things. So back to that ideology shift. I know it can be really easy for the audience to listen and just say, I'm struggling with this. Let's say you've got a health professional out there and they say, well, of course I charge time for money. Maybe they're value packaging or they're doing something, but ultimately they're still in a situation where they are delivering their services via their team or themselves in a time for money way. So if we just dissect this for a minute and go back to what can we learn from unicorn companies like Google, build an audience, go global, solve a global problem, and sell intellectual property, not time. So in the case study that you just gave there of somebody in the health industry, she was doing more traditional services. I think the big thing is she created an online program, build it once, and then it's infinitely scalable, right? Anyone around the world technically can opt in for a price to that program. You can solve a global problem with the intellectual property that you have built, instead of
with the limited capacity of time for money. So it opens up your capacity. In terms of the impact that you talked about, Matt, that's what excites me. A friend of mine and also a client, she is one of Australia's best in the kind of child behaviour area. And impact is massive for her. And I've been harping on, and I'll absolutely introduce you to her, about you've got to go into this world where you create online programs because you need to help more people than you can in your traditional services. So that's my dissection. What would your comments be?
Yeah, I think that's truly accurate. And in relation to the case study I gave and also your friend, that I think if you think about, there's probably so much information that is constantly being repeated. And, your friend is all about impact. Well, how does she provide the impact? You provide the impact by really delving deep and solving the problems. And you can only do that once you've given people that initial knowledge. Once you've got that initial knowledge and giving them some tips and tricks and some skills to then implement that knowledge, then you go away and go, right, did you try that activity? Yes, I did. How did it go? It didn't work. Why not? Let's dissect that. Let's delve into that. Let me unpack that a little bit more for you. And that's where the huge impact is going to happen. Now, you can do that in a traditional time for money sense, and you can sit down with someone and in a 1 hour session and you can explain to them, this is what you do and this is how you do it. And they go away and they go, okay, and they go and implement what they interpreted you to have said. Or you can create some online programs that tell people how to do it. You could put in some examples of how you would have that, conversation with a child, or for child behavior, and you can actually watch an example of it being put into practice, and then you go, okay, great, now my homework is I need to go and apply that, and they go and apply that. And this is all being done without the involvement of the consultant, because they've built it once and it's just being played and recorded. And then they come back to the consultant and have that consult and go, right, I tried it, this is what happened. And then you delve into that so much deeper. And so you're spending a lot less time giving the skills, but more unpacking how they implemented those skills and where they need to improve. And that's where the huge value is, because that's then creating that impact that you want to see with people applying what you're teaching them.
Yes, I would even argue, because I've again been in this space and researching and keenly watching, I would argue that if you're not moving into this space, you're going to struggle to compete. And one of the examples I'll give of that is I love my health. And so I do all different types of exercise. And I use personal trainers, and I go and get Latin dance lessons, and I do all of this. So I even tried ballet recently, adult ballet. But then I had a look online and I found this amazing online ballet that, to be honest, it couldn't compete with the little 1 hour that was available up the road at the community centre, because I had these amazing ballerinas and a host of them talking me through the principles and the exercises and all this other stuff that in 1 hour I've rushed through, which is still great to have the face-to-face. If that 1 hour was a complement to a whole lot of assets, resources, intellectual property, whatever you want to call it, right? Doesn't matter the label we give it. But if it was a complement to a whole lot of home resources I had, then as a package, it would be really high value. And then I had the same experience with personal training, where I found an online portal with 5 girl trainers that all got, like, I could do Alenta Bar, I could do all of this. And I suddenly realized, if you are in, say, health space, for example, because I think that's a prime one, if you're not moving in this direction, you might have your own Kodak moment. We all know the Kodak story. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're in this great position that technology now has really enabled us to create so much great digital products and really reach so many people. And that's a huge benefit for businesses to be able to do that, to be able to move into that digital space and reach more people. You're no longer limited to your own geographical region. You can go and provide training to people across the world. So it's a huge benefit there. But that also means that then those people in other parts of the world also have got access to your market. And so, I think very much if you don't look at moving into this space, then, you are very much going to have that Kodak moment, because people are going to look at this and they're going to go, okay, what you're offering me, okay, that's great. And people are becoming more and more time poor and don't necessarily have time to invest in an hour workshop or a half-day workshop or a full-day workshop or whatever that might be. And they want to be able to consume the content in their own time. And so then they're going to look at those people that are providing those online resources for them to be able to do that in their own time. And also for them to be able to go and replay it. Like, you go and learning ballet. And, you go, okay, I'm going to try that movement. Oh, hang on, it didn't quite work. Okay, what is it? Oh, I might just go back to the training. I'm going to watch it again.
Yes.
But you can't do that in the face-to-face workshop. You can't say, hang on, can we just stop and you show me that again? So, I think, yes, you potentially are going to get left behind, have your Kodak moment if you don't move into that online space. And obviously then you've got a lot of other competition going to be coming in to your space that have embraced those digital technologies.
That's what I'm seeing all the time. I really, really am seeing this competitive advantage, which is gained by businesses that have chosen to go into this area. And one of the last things I'd like to talk about is I'm all about challenging my listeners' thinking, right? That's one of my missions. And so I know that there'll be some people going, yeah, this is great, Jeannie and Matt, but it's not for me. I can't do it right. So I want to just talk about the different ways you can do this, not so much the assets you can build. That's one part. Let's say you're a plumber, apart from the fact that there's a host of different ways that you can leverage it internally, don't forget that no matter what industry you're in, if you have nailed a certain aspect of your business, it doesn't even have to be the whole machine. But let's say you've nailed how to lead generate as a plumber. Let's say you've nailed how to deliver a platinum level of service, how to charge higher rates. Whatever you've nailed as your zone of genius, you can technically write a book, launch a podcast, and launch an online program to your industry to help them solve that problem globally. So I guess what I want to say is if you're listening to this saying, yeah, it's all good, but it's not good for me, I'm really going to challenge you and say, I think that there is something here for absolutely everyone. And Matthew might be the person that says, you know what, we can do a discovery around that and give you, here are all the opportunities that you may not be seeing. So I guess I want your comments on that, Matthew, and then I would love to know, because I'm going to introduce you to several people after the podcast, but I would love to know how other people can what you can do, how they can get in touch, and how they can even go, well, oh, why? How can I do this? Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think that's so true that what are the statistics about the number of businesses that fail within the first 5 years and things like that? If you're a business and you're operating for more than 5 years, you're doing something right. As you said, it could be lead generation. It could be excellent service. Take a great example. Colleague Carl Schwantes has a diamond store here in Brisbane City. So what happened during COVID? He couldn't operate his diamond store. And then he was in a bit of trouble there with that. Like, I can't have people coming into my store. They need to have a look at the rings. They need to try them on. Can't do that. Great. He also needed something else to do. One thing he realized is he had a huge, huge volume of 5-star Google reviews. So don't like the P word so much, but he did a pivot. And he went, okay, well, obviously I'm doing something good in this space. And he now has another business that is teaching people, and he's creating online programs, teaching people how to get 5-star reviews. So again, your plumber could be doing great service. He could be doing great lead generation. There's something that people can share with other people. And I think also I would challenge a lot of people so often, and I know I've been guilty of this as well, where you look at this and go, oh, everyone knows that, or that's just common sense or whatever. But I would challenge people and go, you know what, you might think it is, but it might not necessarily be. Just because you think it's common sense, just because it's common knowledge in your mind, it may not necessarily be for other people. And so then that means that you've got potentially some great valuable expertise, some great intellectual property that you can share. And then you can share with other people because you might think it's common knowledge, but it's probably not.
Yes, I see that all the time.
And then in terms of actually doing that, you can certainly reach out to us on our website or connect with me on LinkedIn. And we go through and we've got our discovery call where we take people through and understand where are they at and what is it that they're doing, and looking at, well, how could they take some of that and how could they leverage their expertise? And certainly we can provide some opportunities for that. So certainly jump onto our website, mavenzeal.global, and they could reach out and book in for a call, and we can certainly have a chat with them around what they know, what they're doing well, and what are some opportunities for them to be able to leverage that expertise across into their business.
And okay, and we'll put all that in the show notes. And I love that because now when I'm chewing people's ear off on this subject, because I do, I can now say, just talk to Matt. Just do me a favor, give Matt a call, do a discovery call, because I don't work in this space. I really love seeing entrepreneurs thrive. And this for me is like this golden ticket to thriving. Everything takes work, play the long game. So yeah, now I'll be able to just say talk to Matt, which is amazing. And I can't wait to actually put you in touch because I think it's so high value. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Matt.
Not a problem. Thank you very much for having me. It's been great having a chat. And yeah, I think that people able to leverage their expertise is just going to make things so much easier for them and allow them to have a better business.
Yes, definitely. I just love coming back to what you said here. This is about scaling up, creating impact, right? Greater impact on those around you and living the lifestyle that you actually desire. So yeah, thanks so much, Matt.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would love to help you start doing better in business right now by giving you a free little ebook. It's a how-to guide. It's called The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins. And also I've developed a business health check for you. It's super high value. Both are available at betterinbusiness.global. If you would like to fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper to start enjoying a return on investment and get the support you need to optimize your business cash and profit and time wealth, simply visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper near you. I'll see you in the next episode.